Hello, I'm David Marsh, head men's and women's swimming coach at Auburn University. Welcome to the Freestyle tape. You know, at Auburn University we have a great tradition of fast freestylers. Fortunately, most of them have improved during their time here, and a lot of the techniques you'll see on this video are things they use to help them get to the higher levels. There has been occasions where we've had 4 of the top 8 finalists either in the 50 or the 100 freestyle at the NCAA championships. We take great pride in the rich tradition we have of people like Rowdy Gaines and Bill Pilzik, Katie Taylor, Scott Tucker. These people brought freestyle to our program to all new level, and now with the recent accomplishments of people like Becky Short and Ryan Walker-Merca, we can take great pride in all the things we've been able to accomplish here.
Rada Owen's going to help us with the freestyle video, and the reason I select Rada probably over any swimmer I've ever coached is because she earned the highest levels of swimming, ultimately making the Olympic team in the year 2000 for the USA to travel to Sydney through efficiency. Probably her strength in her career was her ability to travel through the water, disturbing very little water while creating maximum propulsion. So a lot of the stuff Rada's going to do for us today will be what made her the great swimmer that she is. Freestyle is an event that all swimmers should really aspire to develop. Number one, because it's the fastest stroke. Number two is generally most programs train it the most. And finally, there's more Olympic events available in freestyle than any other stroke. So those who aspire to be Olympians have a better chance if they have a good freestyle. Freestyle is also obviously a key component of an individual medley. It's the last stroke in that race where usually you're fairly tired and are having to swim home as well as you can on the last part. In our program's history, we've had a great tradition of freestylers, and really we're very, very proud of our sprinters and our middle distance swimmers, even up to the current day where we had as many as 4 finalists in the 50 freestyle. We've had swimmers final in the 1650 and develop in all areas of the freestyle event. At Auburn, we take great pride in swimmers that have come in and developed, I guess the swimming world had put it, no names to no names. In many cases, a swimmer like Rada Owen came in as a junior national caliber swimmer and developed during her time into an Olympian. That pattern is something that is gained through developing efficiency, a comprehensive program where their strength, their technique, the mental part of their performing all comes together in a great moment. Wanted to talk to you a little bit on deck about the freestyle before we took to the water and did drills and whatnot. First of all, in the freestyle stroke, what we're looking for is a narrow stroke. We want to swim from side to side. We want to cut the water like you're a knife cutting the water. Clearly, the example that works well with the athletes is to talk about a barge versus a speedboat. We want to be that speedboat, not the barge. Okay, so the body setup is critical. We want a straight line spine as much as possible, tipping the hips back, having the eyes look more down than forward in the stroke. This allows for the overall body to maintain a steady position throughout the stroke. That also allows for when a swimmer breathes to breathe in line with the spine so they're not taking their head off the spine. You know, any small movement, especially in freestyle where you're traveling as fast as you do in the stroke, makes a big difference in the water. I mean, when you're talking about the water is 773 times more dense than air, and as you go faster in the water, especially in a sprint freestyles, the resistance you incur is cubed. So the faster you go, the more resistance you're going to get, the more elite you are, the more you need to pay attention to all your details. So let's start right now. Body setup. Next comes the legs. A driving 6-beat kick with each stroke. The kick is actually going to move side to side. Okay, it's not going to stay up and down. So a lot of your kicking should be on your side to mimic that movement. Moving to the upper body of the stroke, there's a new attitude, I believe, out there about the stroke begins with the overwater recovery setting up a high elbow catch. That's certainly what I teach at Auburn University. And when we work on that, we're trying to get a bit of a swing motion to encourage not only body rotation, but to work with the core in proper timing. You can get incredible strength off of that with very little energy cost. So we swing over the top, set the high catch, and have the body move by the catch more so than pulling the hand through the catch. So in freestyle, when we look at putting together the whole stroke, you have the legs, you have the arms, you have the timing of the stroke. And real important in freestyle that in setting up your particular race, that the differences in the stroke shouldn't be dramatic. For a 50 freestyle, for a 1650, there are some differences. Sprinter tends to pull a little deeper than a distance swimmer, but generally the body position, the way the arms are overall used, the legs are overall used, should be very consistent. Let's go to the water now with some drills. I'm going to first talk about the positions of the strokes. So for starters, we're going to talk about just her setting up the core of a stroke. The majority of your weight is in your core, so you want to establish that first before you add on arms or hands or any of the extremities. So let's watch Rada. What we're looking for here is most of Rada's head under the water, the skin of her suit on the surface, light kicking, and you can see there's nothing very high or very low in the water, in a very shallow surface of the water. Now we're going to do some rotation where we wanted to maintain the proper posture. And proper posture in freestyle is get this spine as straight as it can be. Raise the head slightly, drop the jaw back, establish a neutral position. That helps to establish that line that you're looking to maintain in freestyle and backstroke. In this case, on this event, she'll have her hands by her side, hands down, and she'll rotate from one side to the other side. As she rotates, it's a smooth movement. It's not a jerky movement, just having control. When she wants to breathe, she'll just rotate, turn her head just barely enough to get some air, and put it back. The shoulders and the hips are connected as you do this rotation. So as she moves, I want to see her transfer the energy from the shoulder and the hip, drop it down on the center of the spine and rotate to the other side. Use gravity a little bit to her advantage, not have to muscle over, but have it happen smoothly. I'm going to have her do 12 kicks on each side. There's all kinds of transitions you can do. You can do 6 kicks and 6 kicks. This case is probably my favorite drill, if done right, is 12 kicks on each side, taking your time to really establish that time on your side. Opposite hand again, doesn't do any balancing. It stays right here. And then the transition is smooth. When the transition happens, we don't want her rising up or down or traveling east or west. Straight down the pool is what we're looking for in this drill. This is 12-12. As she transitions, she'll get her breath and then get her head back on her spine. Right back on her spine before she transitions over to the next stroke. You can see she's completely on her side, her shoulders and her hips. In freestyle, what we're looking for is to cut the water. We do not want to swim broad like this. This will disturb more water than this will. So we want her to transfer from here to here, spending as little time as possible actually on her front and on her chest. So that's what we're looking for in this drill, is to do drills that encourage swimmers to get comfortable with being on their sides. The pressing transition that goes from here as they press their lungs down in the water to here, they pretty much transfer that pressure from the chest down to the armpit, and so press here and then press to the other armpit. We're going to incorporate the 12 and 12 with a couple of real cycles to transition into more of a flow drill. Transition and then back to the other side. So she's switching with a little bit of swimming in between, and what we're looking for here is a lot of rotation. Steady kick on all drills. Next will be one-arm drills. I think these are really important drills if done right, because they can tie the whole body in as well as involve a quality breathing pattern. What we teach in freestyle to breathe is as they rotate with the body, we don't want them to have to turn their head really at all. Ideally, just rotate and breathe on the water line, part of the mouth being in the water, one of the goggles in the water, so they're actually breathing with as much of their head in the water as out of the water. As you swim faster, a pocket will form around your mouth and you get plenty of air. That's not a problem. But initially, you might swallow a little water, but you'll deal with that and recover and be all the better for it down the road. Plus, you stay a little hydrated that way. On this drill, our opposite arm's by her side, which allows for maximum rotation. If the hand was up, it would tend to keep her a little flatter. So you want that hand down. Have the breathing be bilateral as much as possible. Everything balanced in the sport of swimming. When she does breathe, let's keep one goggle in the water, and you can see she's rotating over from side to side. One of my favorite drills now has been the 3/4 catch-up drill. And on 3/4 catch-up drill, what I'm looking for in the swimmers is to work on transitioning from one side to the other side, snapping over. So as they get here, both hands in the front quadrant, they shift and snap, come around. Both in the front quadrant means both hands are in front of the face. So it's not a full touch and pull. A full touch and pull, I believe, flattens you off. And we don't want to swim flat. We want to be 3/4 catch up and then switch. I saw this on Alexander Popov first and noticed how he really used it to increase the speed of his switching. I also like the swimmer to be a little more opened up on the recovery during this drill so that this includes the whole body motion. I think the more you open up this recovery, the more you tend to open up your recovery. You'll open up your hips and swing around rather than lifting and placing. The pause is allowing her to take time to really set up the switch. Three-quarters catch up, a little pause. Outstanding. Now, three-quarters catch up without a pause will be the arm swinging high and then transitioning as the hand comes through and over in front of the head. So we want to see a kind of skating to each side. So I want them to feel like they're kind of skating to each side as they're swimming. Three-quarters catch up, it really emphasizes switching from side to side. And we're going to see a little bit of a pause, but then a shift as she's coming over from on each side. Again, bilateral breathing is probably the best bet for all drills and easy swimming. As we're doing this next lap, I'm asking Rita to shift more as she's transitioning. Put a little more shift into it. I'm going to have Rita use the snorkel, and I like the front-loaded snorkels because it takes away one more movement they have to make. Especially for younger swimmers, I really like how these set up their strokes before you add breathing. A lot of the complications in freestyle come from breathing. If we didn't have to breathe and we had a snorkel we could race with, we probably wouldn't ever turn our head. So one of the things we want Rita to do here is take little segments of drills, and we'll watch her as she does it. First is just head down, getting comfortable in the position, hands down by her side. You can see it's really easy to place her head in the right position with that snorkel, nice and steady. As she goes into transition movement, she keeps the head completely still while rotating the body on the sides. Cutting the water is what we're looking for here. As she goes through the wall, she's going to use single arm freestyle and emphasize the rotation. Again, there's no need to breathe so that she can keep a good flow to what she's trying to do. But she's really working on her core right now, thinking about taking that single arm and tying it into a proper core movement. Outstanding. A drill I like that we've used lately has been, we've named it the catch and throw drill. And it really incorporates a lot of what I like about the transition of the pieces of what we're looking for in a good freestyle. One is you establish a high catch, okay? While you're in the catch, you're on your side. You kick until the catch is in position. And then with your top arm, you throw the top straight over the catch position and have the transition of the movement of the arm, the body, and the switching be what generates the power. Ideally holding the arm in the stable place, having the body go by the arm, because that is, after all, what we're trying to do. We're not trying to pull in freestyle, we're trying to set a catch and move our body by the hands, okay? Rada's going to do the catch and throw here. Good. That's real good. Excellent. You can see how she's setting the catch and throwing over the top. That's really good. That's as good as I've seen, actually. One of the other common things I do in freestyle is I'll take swimmers and we'll work on lengthening their strokes. One of the ways to do that is to take their limbs and swim straight arm. Okay, Rada has been blessed with long arms, so she doesn't need this quite as much as others, but for the sake of the drill, we're going to do it. What I want to see them do is initially just take the arms and literally lock them out and make them literally straight arms. The next step, which is what we're going to do right here, will be to take the locked out arm and then circle it into the catch. One of the problems in freestyle, it's very common, is as a swimmer comes around with a high elbow recovery, drops the hand in short, runs it forward, they drop their elbow because they want to pull with the big muscles, their lats and all. What we need to train them to do is come around, circle in, and as they run their fingertips in the water, keep that high catch position and go right into their catch. On this drill, what we're going to do is have Rada do a straight arm freestyle with an emphasis on her catch position. I like to see the armpit stay out of the water till the very last minute and then switch down into the water. Let's give that a try, Rada. Rada's coming out with straight arms. You can see how she's tying it into her whole stroke. We call this backstroke on freestyle at times to try to get them to think of their arms that they use in backstroke with a straight arm recovery. Another way to improve the ability of establishing a high catch, which is so critical in freestyle, is to do closed fist swimming. Now, when you close your fist, a lot of people are tempted to close it like this. I want to see them close their fist all the way in when they do freestyle. So closed fist freestyle, whether you incorporate it in the drills that we do or into the whole stroke like Rada will do, the emphasis should be on swimming with your forearm. On this, we're obviously not as concerned about the hand position since she's taking away her hand, but we're looking for that, to establish that catch. Another idea for working on the catch is underwater recovery freestyle. For some reason, when swimmers swim underwater, they're able to really concentrate on that high catch, especially if they can watch their catch. So what I want Rada to do is put that snorkel back on, and she's going to do underwater recovery, creep her hands out, establish a high catch, and then run the other hand out in front. All we're doing is working on our catch here. We're not worried about the back end of the stroke. We're trying to establish the foundation of the stroke. Some people would call this dog paddle drill. We're just working on establishing a high catch. And as she moves down the pool, you'll see she's also including a rotation movement in her stroke. This works pretty well with a snorkel, so she doesn't have to rise up. The next step would be that high catch and then recover underneath and then shift all the way over. This would be taken into the propulsion part of the stroke. Establish the catch and be propulsive. During the freestyle stroke, we're looking to establish the high catch with a clean movement of letting the hand sink while the elbow stays high. One of the ways you can feel that is by placing your hand on the shoulder of another swimmer, rotate your elbow toward the sky, and then put some pressure on the hand. That gets you the feel of what it should feel like to establish that catch position in freestyle. The next thing is the acceleration of the hand under the body. In freestyle, we want to see the hand at its slowest here and at its fastest toward the end of the stroke. Now, we don't want to go to a locked out elbow and flip the water like we used to. We want to come through and finish the movement with timing with the hip. Okay, you can see all the drills that Rada's doing here. She's always including a movement of her hip to get out of the way of her hand. Good.
Now we're going to take our time to look at one stroke cycle. During this one stroke cycle, we're going to break down the stroke technique. We're going to look at the nuances of the stroke with the use of a telestrator.
Showing Becky Short here. Okay, let's look at one full stroke cycle. As she enters the water, her hand here runs right on the surface. What I would like to look for is that hand, instead of just staying flat and smooth out there, I'd like to see her begin to angle the fingertips down. As you can see, she runs to a flat surface, which is fine for swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, but I'm not sure it's where she'd want to be for sprinting and freestyle. Becky's one of very few swimmers that have ever been under 22 seconds in a flat start 50 freestyle, so she is quite efficient, and part of her key is the way you see she cuts the water here. This kind of angle as she rotates in. Head position very nice, looking straight down. And you can see swimming through a very shallow amount of water, so she's not really doing any excess movement. To the front catch, watch how her body position stays the same. Rotation breathe, you want to see one goggle stay in the water. That quite nicely. And pulls fairly straight pattern, which is not uncommon for a sprinter. Little lift of that, and as she comes from the bottom. Nice. And very efficient strokes, swims through a very shallow amount of water. If you look at where it begins here and ends here, not too much depth anywhere along this line. As she sets up the catch of her freestyle, I'd like to see her go ahead and rotate right down into a catch here rather than running the hand long out in front. Notice the great ankle flexibility right there, especially with the left foot. Interesting, the right foot isn't as flexible as the left foot. And here's a pretty big flaw in her stroke. As she's breathing to that side, you can see actually the angle of her elbow pointing. Elbow is lower than the hand, and you don't ever want to be in that position in the stroke. Always want to have the hand traveling either straight or downward into the catch of freestyle. Anything raising up is all about just offering balancing and pushing you toward the surface of the water. And she finally begins to set up her catch in here. And you notice that her hips came before her hands as she swam through. The other thing I like to see is at the end of the stroke, as the hand's finishing here, you just exit in that position, not try to push through all the way down beyond the hip. And the long flowing lines of her stroke, when she's not breathing, sets a pretty good catch. On her underwater pull, her pattern is here. Right in this portion, she's going kind of upward three-dimensionally, staying pretty steady here, then exiting. Very nice position here. Again, hands a little high. I'd like to see her set that catch a little bit more. This is a big improvement over earlier in her Auburn career where she had a lot of elbow drop. She's fine. Now let's look at her breathing. As she comes to the side, go ahead and exit right here. See, we want to see the whole body on its side when you're rotating in freestyle. You can see the kick continues to flow nicely, and left ankle's more flexible than right ankle. But one goggle did stay in the water there as she's breathing, and that is what we're looking for in freestyle. Any excess head movement above is going to cause this hip to drop down a little bit lower. One thing I've seen in Becky here is as she is swimming through, I like her to work on just her general posture in the water so that her line is even straighter along her back and she doesn't get rid of that arch in her stroke. Obviously a very nice stroke, an efficient stroke, and one that's improved radically since the time she's arrived to campus.
This is a mid-level sectional kind of level swimmer. Just kind of showing you a comparison of an elite swimmer and a level just below that. There's significant differences, although she does a lot of things technically right. You can see that when she swims, the elbow leads the hand and the head position stays a little too high. When she breathes, she actually takes her whole head out of the water. Pretty good flip turn. There's a lot of things that she can improve on. Okay, this time the section level swimmer is going to go head-on view, and you can see as she breathes, the whole body position changes. Lifts up. Pretty good full position down the middle, but from the front view, you wouldn't see the elbow drop. The freestyle, when done well, is an efficient stroke that doesn't disturb a lot of water. That head and the core parts of the body stay lined up, and you use the feet for a portion of the propulsion, but the arms really do most of the generating of the propulsion if they're timed properly with the body. As your hand goes in, you rotate downward into a long extension into a high catch. As you begin the process of moving your hand over your high catch, that's when the body begins to accelerate.
Thank you for watching the freestyle video. Remember, keep the elbows high, the head low, and the acceleration fast. Good luck to you.